Have you ever wanted to play with two Sims families at once? Maybe you want to have a Sim from each family fall in love. Maybe you've got a child Sim who has no friends and you're trying to give him some popularity status and make some friends his own age. Whatever it is. Playing two Sims families at once can often be hard because you have to leave your lot, go into the other families, and it's just a bit of a mess. So, to combat this, I've decided to create a townhouse. So a townhouse build is nothing new to me specifically. It's been done a whole bunch of times before, but I wanted to do my own take on it. I wanted to have a townhouse that was for two very different families in two very different styles, both the same but different, if that makes sense. So what I've gone for is one half being really modern and chic and has different skill building items than the other side of the townhouse, which has a more old, traditional aesthetic to it and different skill building items. So it's got everything your Sims need, literally, to have a great time, to skill build, to live their best lives, to fall in love, to have kids, to be popular, whatever it is. This is the house for you. If you like the video, as always, please give it a big thumbs up. It really helps me out to grow my channel. There's a few more of us now. Thank you so much. There's a few of you from Reddit that saw my last post. I have to say, I just really appreciate the outpouring of love and support that I got on my park build. Everyone seems to really like it. I do have some more community builds coming in the future, so hang around for those. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so we're in our lot now, and I chose to build on Fern Park in Newcrest. As you guys know, I'm building out Newcrest. I want to have a really cool save file that you can all download once I finally finish building everything. So I'm on the lot called Fern Park. I think it's 30 by 20 tiles, and next door we've got the gym. There's a park right behind it, and it's a nice little spot. I really like it. And what I wanted to do, I've already mentioned in the intro, but I really wanted to create two very different halves to one house and explore two different styles with each side. So that's what I've done. On one half of the house, we've got a more traditional sort of brownstone that you might find in New York City, and on the other side, same exact build, same exact layout, but just the modern version. I like to think that if this was in reality, that maybe the house on the right, or the townhouse on the right, I should say, it has been renovated by the family that are living there, and the townhouse on the left has been kept traditional with only a few sort of modern comforts, I think, so mod coms added. Like, it's got a really nice kitchen and a few nice bathrooms. It's not like it's old and dusty and gross, like it's quite nice, but it's just traditional. So that was the idea with this build. And it was actually so much fun because I got to explore pretty much every single item in the build by menu, and I had to be quite clever in thinking about how the same layout would apply but to two very different styles, so that was good. And my main inspiration was New York. I've never actually been there, but I would love to go. It's number one on my bucket list of places to travel. My partner and I are just dying to go to New York. We just have been talking about it for years, but given that travel plans are a little bit on the back burner right now, I can always build something inspired by somewhere I want to go. So that's what I did with this house here. And so I'm basically just building out the size and the shape of the house at the moment. Apologies that it's on the left there and not centered. I know that's a bit annoying. I actually built this quite a few weeks ago, and it's just been sitting in the back burner because it was a really long build. I spent like 10 hours on this build, and when you try and cut down a 10-hour video into, 15 minutes to half an hour, this one is on the longer side. It is half an hour. It's sort of the shortest that I could make it with the amount of content that's in there. It's a beast. Editing this stuff it's not quick. It doesn't take 2 minutes. It takes, 3 to 4 hours to sort of edit these videos. So because this house is so big, I kind of was a bit reluctant to get cracking on it. But that's all right. We're revisiting it now. I think it's so worthwhile to share, and I really hope you like it as much as I do. I adore it. I think it's one of my best builds. I think the fact that it's just so different and it gets me excited for gameplay. And when I do a build that can get me excited for gameplay, I just think that that's so powerful. I love building too much in that I don't really play the game as often as I should. I get held up in wanting to create the next house for the next family, and you know, when I was building this one out, immediately I wanted to play. You know, I started thinking about who the Sims would be that would live here and what skill building items I wanted to include, but because this house is townhouses, they're massive, so there's heaps of room. There's literally every skill building item that you could hope for. There is a shared pool and a shared indoor gym, which I kind of thought was a nice nod to realism, in that a lot of complexes that you'll buy into or that you'll live into do often share amenities like a gym and a pool, so I kept that realism with my build here. And also, we didn't need 2 separate pools for each family. I kind of liked that maybe that's where they'll meet each other. I mentioned in the intro sort of the benefit of having 2 families is that you can intertwine storylines, and I think that that's what excites me about this build, is that I often struggle to find other Sims in-game, like townies, that I really like and that I want to start a legacy challenge with, or to be friends with my Sims. You know, I'm always judging them because I've seen them all and met them all before. So the benefit of doing it this way is that I really can have complete control over who my Sims are surrounded by, and I can create Sims with a counterpart in mind, whether that counterpart is a friend, an enemy, if you want to spice up your storyline a bit, maybe it's the girl next door for your teenagers, or, you know, there's literally so many possibilities. Instead of playing with one family, you can play with 2. And now that we also have the roommate function as well, you might just choose roommates for one half of the townhouse, so you still don't have that much control over them and what they're doing. You don't have to worry about their autonomy and what they're up to, but you still get interaction with them easily. It's not like you have to go into town to try and hunt them down or call them and ask them to come over. You know, they're right there and they're available to you. So I really liked the idea of that, and as I said, it just gets me pumped about gameplay, which is a really nice thing. And I did make a family to move in, but I haven't actually played with them yet, so I need to get on top of that. I need to do that. I've been thinking about doing a legacy challenge, but that just seems like so much work and just so much time, and because of the amount of building that I do, I just don't know if a legacy challenge is the best challenge for me. I also saw the Black Widow challenge, which I think is awesome, and I actually sat down and I recorded the first episode of a Let's Play for the Black Widow challenge, and I'm sort of just debating whether or not I release that, whether I want to include Let's Plays on the channel. I really enjoy watching a good quality Let's Play if it's got a funny storyline and if the person is really engaging. Obviously Kayla on Little Simsy has just got that down, so does Deligracy's stories and the way that she, you know, creates conversation and real characters. Like, I love that Deli takes real characters from the real world. She's just amazing at that. So I feel like once I do a few more once I do a few more actual building videos and get those out and going, and I've got a bit more of a community, I can ask you all what you all think and whether or not you think it's worthwhile to watch a Let's Play. I know that some people just don't watch them at all and just don't get the idea of watching another person play the game, but, you know, I'm all for people watching each other play games. I think it's exactly the same as if you sit down and watch, you know, professional sportsmen or athletes play sports. Like, if you sit down and watch football or cricket or whatever, you're doing the exact same thing as if you're sitting down and watching a game. Just because you're not playing it yourself in that moment doesn't mean that you enjoy it any less, and that's something I really love about the Let's Play community and how involved people are with those Let's Plays. So look, I might have one of those coming in the future, but I will always stick to building as the base and the core of my channel, and I will put out a build for every week, and if I do add in Let's Plays, I'll sort of do it as an additional. They won't take the place of a build, but I would love to know what you think about whether you think that's a good idea, of whether you watch Let's Plays or not, or if you're, you know, people that are like me and you just love building, all of that stuff, anything that you want to say, literally big or small, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I posted last week for my park, my sort of sunken park, and I was just blown away, so blown away by the response I got to that. I mentioned it in the intro, but wow, people are so lovely. I think the Sims community in particular are just some of the nicest people. People don't troll each other, people aren't nasty, it's just a really loving community, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it. I feel like I've found my herd, like found my people, which is really nice. So anyway, if you have a comment, pop it down below. Consider subscribing if you're new here, like the video if you like the build, all of that. I won't drone on about it. And I suppose I should now start talking a bit about the build itself, because we've sped through sort of the whole outside and the layout at this point now. And we're up to furnishing, which is exciting. So the rooftop garden that I'm building out now is joint. So I did a little barbecue area, a sort of nice place you could hang out with the Sims from either family. It's just really simple, just a little umbrella covered table and a barbecue. You could put some other stuff out here, but you really don't need to. There is just every other skill building item is inside. Also, I feel it's important to note that red shelf that I'm using there is the greatest piece of CC known to mankind, but it allows you to clutter things up if you don't know what it is, and it is the reason that when you go to download this build on the Sims 4 gallery that it will say modded. It is the only custom content piece in the build, so don't fret if you don't have custom content or, you know, that puts you off downloading something. I should have avoided using it or I have to figure out how I can actually delete it without deleting all the clutter that I've put on top of it. But until I figure out how to do that, it is in this particular build and it is on the gallery at Brownflowersims. So don't fret, if you do download it, the only thing that's going to be missing is those shelves, which help me to clutter. That's it. The rest of it is all just in-game content. At the moment I'm doing the kitchen on the traditional side of the house, of the townhouses. It's actually quite a modern kitchen, and I liked the idea that the family living in here, it is a family home, each side is a family home, but this side is sort of, it's been renovated on the inside, but they've left the outside, that traditional brownstone, and there's a lot of antiques happening. You know, especially when we move to the living areas, you'll see in the bedrooms, there's a lot of older looking furniture and a lot of sort of traditional, I'm really like, I don't want to say medieval, but I don't know, I don't even know what you'd call this style. I probably should, considering I'm doing a speed build video on it, but because I never build in this style, I always stick to modern type builds. I'm not sure what you'd call this, but I think it's like a nice, comfortable between modern and traditional, retro, old school, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just cluttering up the kitchen now. I've got a bit of a stone backsplash, which I thought was quite nice. There's quite a few little stone textures I've got going on throughout the house on both sides, both townhouses. And as I said, just cluttering up now, trying to make it look really nice and homey. I've got the parent board, like the curfew board from Parenthood in here, just over on the right there. And I'm just putting in a few little bits and bobs, little side tables. And it was fun because once I had the layout for this side of the house, when I moved across to the modern side, it made it a lot easier for me to figure out how I was going to place things. It was sort of like the blueprint had already been done for me. So you'll see that I'm now doing the bathrooms. The joy of this bathroom on this level is that they are side by side, so I could build them out simultaneously and, you know, grab the shower, just change the color, grab the same toilet, change the color, all of that. So that was really handy and helpful. So it's the same layout for both of them, but again, different styles. So I've gone with really like clean slate brickwork and slate flooring on the modern side and a few creature comforts in there. And then I've gone with sort of more of like a red, black and white vibe in the more traditional side. It's kind of an eclectic bathroom on the left there, but well, no, it's not really left because I'm spinning around all over the shop. On the left side of the build when you're facing the street, I should say, the traditional side. And now we're into the kitchen and the same living area, but just flipped on the other side. So I wanted to do the kitchen at the back of this one, so keeping it same but different. So I've got my really nice island. I love that island bench from Island Living. I think it is just beautiful. The fact that it has waterfall edges, I think that's really realistic and quite a nice touch. And I'm just changing the windows out the back here so that they don't cut into the bench tops. But otherwise, this kitchen is quite simple, quite minimal. I've just got all the basics, except they're quite nice, expensive stoves and fridges and items. I'd love to know whether you guys prefer the modern look or the more traditional look. The more that I built out both sides, I started to actually really enjoy the more traditional side because it was just such a different thing to build, because this is my bread and butter, the one I'm doing here at the moment now. Lots of whites and nice timber floors. It's just quite basic, really, but it's what I always tend to go with. I just think that if I had a house and I had to choose, I would definitely go with the more modern basic stuff. But I'm interested to know what you guys think, of course, so pop a comment below. But yeah, I love this round dining table. I think that in general, if you're out to dinner or you're at someone's house and they have a round dining table, it is so much better than a rectangular one for conversation. Like, you can actually talk to each other and talk to every single person on the table without feeling like you're yelling down or across other people, which is quite nice. So I've got the round dining table in there, and I'm just putting in also like a little dog bowl. This house has a few pet elements so that you can have a dog or a cat or whatever, which I thought was quite nice. And again, I'm just putting that sort of side table vibe in at the end under the windows. And the modern side was quite fun for me in that it's because of the unique shape of this build, because I've got sort of the traditional looking brownstone vibe and a few little nooks and crannies in the build. I had to get creative to make it look more realistic. So even here under the stairs, putting the backpacks under the stairs there, I think just really adds to that sense of realism, and it's actually quite fun to have those little nooks and crannies that you have to fill instead of these huge open plan massive spaces that you can just chuck everything into. And now we're up in the loft area of, gosh, there's so much talking I have to do in a half an hour video. Whew, gotta take a breath. But we're up in the loft area now and we're doing the office. So I thought for the modern side that I might have a sim that is a music producer, a DJ, like maybe they're into coding or whatever, sort of like a digital sim, a musical digital sim. So this is sort of like the at-home office that you could have people come over to jam in. It's sort of where I imagine my sims spending most of their time, whether they're a teen, a young adult, or an adult sim. You know, I think that this is a really nice creative space. And again, of course, a dog bed. I say dog bed because I have had a dog in mind for this, but of course, just an animal bed if you're a cat person. And just a couple of mats and what have you. And then on the traditional side, I made it an art studio. So this was just another thing that I would love to have in my own house, having an art studio. I mean, I do have my space that I do art, but a dedicated studio with all the woodworking equipment and all the easels and just everything that is conducive to creativity at its best. I would just love to have this art studio that I'm building. Oh, I would be so fulfilled. And I'm just getting a lot of items from the debug menu to clutter it up. So those pre-painted paintings and that splash mat as well. In fact, the splash mat's probably just from regular build buy, but the debug menu is great for that. I've talked about it in other videos if you want a bit more information on that debug menu, or of course you can just jump onto any other YouTube video that has a tutorial about it. But the debug menu, as always, is fantastic for beefing out clutter and making things look more realistic. And now we're down on sort of the ground level, which you have to walk down into. And this one's really nice. This is sort of like where the two houses join and have shared space. So there's a shared gym in the middle, which both doors, which both apartments or townhouses have access to from their own side. So if you do want your Sims who are living here not to be able to walk into each other's houses, then just don't forget that you're going to need to lock doors for certain Sims to avoid them coming in and using, you know, items from the other person's house. But the gym itself is a joined area, which is quite nice. And so is this bathroom. So all Sims on both sides will have access to this bathroom and to the gym. And what I decided to do is put a kids room in the downstairs of the modern house, and I gave it sort of like an animal vibe, sort of, you know, maybe they want to be a vet. There's obviously an animal living in this house, and I just imagined this kid to be a little bit pet crazy, a little bit animal crazy. So there's lots of dogs and animal decals stuck on the walls. I chose that bone bedspread. And whilst this room has a few little blue elements, I do think it's quite unisex. I don't think it's very gendered. I think you could have a female or a male sim in here and they would love it. It's sort of like the best vibe for a kid's bedroom. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I love kids' bedrooms. They are so much fun to build because you can just do whatever and you can't get it wrong. It just... If I think back to my own bedroom as a kid, I had a purple bedroom, like purple walls, purple carpet, purple bedspread. Purple is still my favorite color, which is quite funny, but God, like my room, it was just like a purple glitter bomb had gone off in there. So I kind of like the freeing nature of doing kids' rooms in The Sims 4. But that one actually turned out quite tasteful. So we're now into the living area of downstairs. I debated cutting out certain rooms to make this build shorter because it is a long video. You know, 30 minutes of going through talking about everything. It's fine for me, but more so I think for you guys. Like, I wonder if you enjoy videos this long. Is it something that you prefer to just have on in the background so you don't mind if it's half an hour because maybe you're sketching or drawing or working and you're just listening to it in the background and looking up every so often? Or are you the type of person with these speed builds that watches so that they can learn, and in which case you watch the whole thing really intently the whole time it's on? You know, I'm not really sure. I'm trying to cater for all audiences with these and do longer ones here, shorter ones there. I also want to start doing a few little easy tutorials for people in sort of landscaping, etc., how to be a better builder. So yeah, so hopefully I've got some content for everyone and I'm not boring you with how much content is in there, but we're just building out each of the sort of lower living room areas at the moment. So you just saw me blitz through that modern one, very simple and easy, and now on this side it's the more old school, traditional. I'm really like missing the adjective that I need here to talk about this style, but antique comes to mind. I grew up in a house and my dad was obsessed with antiques. Like, he collected them. There was things we weren't allowed to touch in the house. He'd get really angry if we put our little grubby mitts on them. And a lot of this furniture reminds me of him because it was just in this style, lots of woody tones and ornate beds and ornate dresses, and I feel like that lamp that I've just placed is exactly the same as the lamp that I had growing up in my house. So it was weird. It was like this nostalgic feeling I was getting when I was building out this living room area and this little bedroom. I imagine this bedroom is sort of maybe for an elder sim. Maybe you've played a legacy challenge in this house, and this is where your elder sort of comes to relax. He or she has a nice TV. They've got all their little creature comforts and a little space that's just their own. And then at the other end of the house, I have another bedroom that's connected via a breezeway. So the breezeway is just the long corridor with heaps of windows and bifold doors on each side that take you out to a little courtyard. So at the very end of this, I wanted to do the master bedrooms for each house, sort of like the retreat, where you can get away from your kids or your mother-in-law or whatever. You're just retreating down the end of the house. And so that's what I'm building out now. I start with the traditional side, and again, it's a very similar bathroom to the ones I did up the front, but making it a little bit more bougie. Got those little robes on the wall there. Nice bath under the window, clawfoot tub, perfect style for this house. And then I've got this little outdoor courtyard which leads to the pool. So the pool is, again, a joint thing, just split by the hedge in the middle. So it's not until you're actually in the pool that you have to talk to anybody. But I like that that's a shared zone. And the little courtyard I did for these guys out here, I just put a little seat in and kept it really nice and simple. So yeah, just building out the bedrooms in the back here now. I kind of feel like the style with this is just sort of like what the Goth family have been about for a few years in all the previous games, like that sort of really classy, elegant, antique, old school look without the scary, because obviously they have been portrayed as a little bit more scary in the older games or the other games. So anyway, I've kind of gone for that vibe again in this bedroom here, a bit of a mint green on the walls. I still think it's really quite soothing, this house. I feel like sometimes when you build old school, it can just look, I don't know, a little bit scary, like a little bit haunted house vibes, but I'm not getting that from that half of the townhouse, so that's good. And then in terms of this bedroom and bathroom, again, super easy, just another little ensuite vibe with a bath, a full bathroom. There isn't a shower in that one, so that's just more of a bath vibe, and you can go to have a shower in the other 500 bathrooms in this house, so that's not really too much of an issue. And otherwise just putting in the standard dresser, TV on the wall, a few little basics here and there, and of course the only rooms I really put any wall shades, or what are they called? Window shades. Wall shades. Window shades on the walls are in bedrooms. So I've done that too. And now we're downstairs. Oh, so much talking. So this is the last area of the houses that we're building out. On the modern side, I thought, hey, let's make it more of a party house. So I've got a bar, like an indoor bar vibe area, and sort of a cool little, you know, ping pong table, juice pong, I know they call it juice pong, but whatever, beer pong table situation happening. If this was something that existed in my real house, my friends would be over all the time. So I think that that's really cool. We've just got a nice little bar area, place to sit down and relax, and there is a little bathroom down here too. I also gave it stone walls because I figured if it was the basement and built underground that maybe it would have stone walls as more of a realistic texture on the other side of the brickwork. So that's what I went for. I love those stone walls, that sandstone. I think it's got such a soft, warm vibe about it. And I carried that wallpaper through to this little powder room as well. So really simple in here, just bathroom. So, you know, when you're drinking that many drinks in the bar, you need to be able to pee quickly. So that's what that's all about. I've got my little sunken area down there with the bikes, where you keep the bikes, and I'm putting the bins in now outside for a bit more realism. And we're now onto the final outdoor area of downstairs. Final outdoor area? Look, I'm literally losing my mind. I've been talking for too long. The final indoor area of both houses, which is this library and little office down the bottom here. So yeah, I just built that out. It's like a nice little logic space. I think I put a little chessboard, outside that you can sit out in the sunshine and be surrounded by some plants, which I also put in. And then you'll just see me finish off the little powder room there. But before we get to the screenshots, I just want to again say thank you so much for watching this video and for tuning back in. If you've been here before, perhaps you're one of the people from Reddit, thank you so much. Welcome to the family. And please pop a comment down below, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week for the next video. I'll see you later, guys. Catch you later. Bye.